Hello and most welcome to 1983. We will today start with a new article to help us lead the way into chaos theory, fractality, strange attractors, what produces thought, metaphors, production, forces. The whole lot are all spiraling. So this is an easy introduction, and we will get into the more complicated details later on. So see this as an easy start, and the comments will be helping you. It is by Geoffrey Cannon, licentiate from Balliol College. So presently it's an excellent, one of the finest. Now working in Brazil, in the warmth. His main subject is actually nutrition and health. And he came out with a book, 1983, his first bestseller, Why Diets Makes Us Fat. Dieting makes you fat. So stop dieting, reduce the intake. That is probably a better advice. Be careful. Well, we start with the text, and it's a bit odd. It's every other page. So sorry about that. I don't know what he did. We need to skip every other. I have used spirals as part of my work since 2005. In much what I have, let's see here, I think, yes. In much what I have written and presented, this tells their story as from 2012. The reasons are evident in what follows. These are a series of the first two pages of 13 on my World Nutrition, What Do You Think columns, published between September 2013 and December 2014. 14! Beginning with an initial piece published early in 2012. As used here, each piece begins with a sequence of spirals, and then on the next page, reasons for spirals. The spiral philosophy, originally ancient, needs to be made evident and explicit. It must replace the straight arrow, Fletcher, ideology, invented recently in history in Europe, in which the past is discounted and only the future counts. The spiral philosophy is the path to wisdom in harmony with the planet, with the living and human world, and ourselves. Ourselves. I think we can now skip to page 6. Darwin and evolution, progress. All guides may fail us now. Take evolution theory, a foundation of the biological sciences. Mary Midgley points out, as does Lynn Margulis, that Darwinism, as now understood, is not what Charles Darwin actually wrote and believed. Darwinists see evolution as a line of ascent, a ladder or an escalator, a tendency ever onwards and upwards. Darwin's image of natural selection was that of a bush, which allows for evolution also to be sideways and downwards, downwards. Mary Midgley proposes, as indicated in her own words in box 2 below, that those of us who have been brought up and educated in the Western convention are enthralled to the notion of inevitable progress. This is a dangerous notion, most of all in periods of trouble, like now. Thus, we are all surely now well aware that life on Earth is under threat as population soars, climate changes, living and natural resources dwindle. The linked food, fuel, and finance crisis cause chaos and mayhem. And with all this, the authority of governments dwindles and drains away. As we know, and politicians gain reputations as futile or venal, as we know, as we know, as we know. What? She believes that our apparent state of collective shock or even paralysis faced with our fearful future is actually disbelief. We still think that things are getting better, imagining that evolution teaches us so. This theory was invented and developed not by Darwin himself, but by Herbert Spencer and other rampant neo-Darwinists committed to the notion of red in tooth and claw competition, such that the fittest, savage, ruthless individuals would triumph, and rightfully, while inferior people and races would be weeded out. Rightly. There is there is a straight line from here to Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street, declaring, "Greed is good.
Greed is good.
Greed is good." Thus, the spiral new nutrition icon. This signifies that things may get better and more organized, synergy, or may get worse and disintegrate, entropy. The idea that the living world and the human race always evolves to get better is a false myth. We continually return to whence we came. In good times, this is shown by cyclic progress, ever wider and wiser. In bad times, the experience is that of a vortex, circling inward, going down the drain, like Sylvester down the drain pipe. One of depression and despair. Next is page 9, the books. Spiral growth, wisdom, healing, and life. The symbolist and voluptuary Austrian painter Gustav Klimt and two of his masterpieces, using the spiral form of growth and of wisdom, the tree of life to the right and Hygeia to the left. Gustav Klimt holds the world's record for the price of a painting. His 1907 portrait of the wife of a Viennese sugar refiner was sold in 2006 for $135 million. Oh dear. Oh dear. More to my point here, he uses a spiral shape as a symbol of his tree of life for all who profess health and well-being. His painting Igea of the goddess of health shows the spiral shape by a serpent, itself the symbol of wisdom, as also shown in the logo of the World Health Organization. The caduceus of snakes coiled round a staff. Spirals are not mere nice designs. They are a shape of life. The subtitle of Basic Clinical Science, one of the books written by my lifelong friend and guide Nick Rowley, who gave up a glittering career in medicine in order to devote his energies to music and healing. Healing, wholeness. Is describing a rose with a ruler. This prompted me to perceive that there are no straight lines in nature. Slowly, I began to see that the ideology of progress, which can be expressed as every day in every way, things are or should be getting better and better. And which frames development in terms of more and more material growth, including increased gross national and personal consumption, is a delusion, as well as being morally wrong and doomed to destruction.
Doomed to destruction.
In history, as well as in nature, progress is not in straight lines. If only simply because the line is an artificial structure. Line is an artificial construct. It is, of course, useful. Current conventional science depends on the elaboration of lines and units. And we live and work in houses, apartments, and offices constructed vertically and horizontally. This journal is designed geometrically. Knowledge needs lines. Lines.
Lies.
Wisdom, on the other hand, is expressed in the spiral shape as shown in the images at the beginning of this column. Growth is not linear. History repeats itself. Trade has cycles. The seasons return. We return to whence we came. If our times have been good, we return at a higher place, enlightened, as shown in the spirals of shells. This explains exaltation. Exaltation. If our times have been bad, we return at a lower place, diminished, as if in a vortex. 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 This explains depression. We will make progress personally, professionally, and as citizens when we stop thinking in reductionist linear ways and instead explore cyclically and systematically. We have more spirals, goat horns, a fractal to be noted. A fractal. A rose in bloom, fiddle, head, ferns, Pablo Neruda with shells. Straight lines and numbers are ways to master nature, but do not show us how to live in the world. Indeed. Next page, please. Spirals, cycles, and the secret of life. The secret of life. How exciting. The German chemist August Kekulé, that was a strange name and a half, said that he saw the atomic structure of benzene, dreaming of an Ouroboros symbol of cyclic systems in which a serpent swallows its tail. This and other columns of mine include series of spiral images like those on the previous page of a goat's horns and of fiddlehead ferns, of a fractal and of a rose in bloom, and a shell shown together with its collector, the Chilean poet and Nobel Prize winner, Pablo Neruda. Pablo Neruda! Neruda! These all speak to us about nature. About nature. And also the fractal complex systems. Fractal complex systems. For new readers, the spiral is the motif of the new nutrition, which defines the science as an interrelated biological, social, economic, and environmental discipline. Every science student knows the story of the German organic chemist August Kekulé and the Ouroboros. His story was that he sold what was up to then the mystery of the structure of benzene, after dreaming of the snake that forever swallows its own tail. The symbol of the continuity of time, life, and cyclic system. This unlocked the secret of the structure of benzene and thus of all aromatic compounds. Compound.
Yummy, 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 yummy.
The discovery was celebrated in Germany with a stamp issued in 1964. In 1890, Kekulé said that he also had a vision of atoms and molecules dancing. Which explained to him the dynamic nature of atomic structure. Such ideas are well understood in the East and by physicists. A book on the new physics has the title The Dancing Woolly Master
Dancing Woolly Monsters.
by Gary Zukav. The story of the Ouroboros is usually told as an amusing diversion from the rational, straight and narrow approach to science. But atoms and molecules do dance, and chemical structures are dynamic.
Dynamic.
Dynamic. This is not conveyed by diagrams, just as the theory of the fundamental importance of spiral structure is in a sense contradicted by writing about it in straight lines, as here. These realities need to be shown as movies. Most education teaches us to think straight and not to go round and round in circles. We are praised for coming straight to the point. Tony Blair accused, when newly UK Prime Minister, of corruption by favouring an industrialist who had donated £1 million to Labour Party funds, denied this by going on television in 1997 and saying that people who knew him thought he was a pretty straight kind of guy.
Straight.
Not spiral. Pablo Neruda expressed his understanding of nature and of human nature in his love for shells and the spiral shape, showing growth of life, knowledge, and insight. Likewise, Auguste Kekulé revealed chemical and biological nature in telling the story of his dreams, of his dream. Oh, dream. Are dreams spiraling or are they straight? We need rules and measures and lines and numbers for ordinary work and life. But to go deeper and higher, we must dance on and round and out, ever expanding our wisdom. This may give some idea of why, with colleagues, I believe that the spiral shape is indeed a symbol and that it discloses the nature of nutrition, not abstractly, but in the real world.
Real world.
The real world. Some of the spirals in Cabo Frio in the January summer, the Virgin Queen of Heaven, Brazil's version of the Unilever ice cream.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
Yes, indeed. Carved furniture, foliage in our garden, an iron gate in the old town. How nature, life, and we evolve. Giambattista Vico, with New Science, was the first modern philosopher of history, which, like life itself, he saw as moving in expanding or diminishing spirals. Spirals! Spirals! How beautiful, especially looking to the right. Exquisite. Egg burst, egg blend, egg burial, and hatch as hatch can. This was James Joyce's take on the philosophy of Giambattista Vico. The cycle of life continues forever, so we hope. In his New Science, Vico opposed René Descartes as making a crazy attempt to reduce reality into mathematics. Mathematics, Tegmark, Hugh Everett. All is mathematics, no reality. All is mathematical, mathematical.
Vico. Hooray. Descartes. Boo!
Vico, hooray! Descartes, boo! Vico said that introducing geometry into real life is like trying to go mad with the rules of reason, attempting to proceed by a straight line among the twists and turns of life, as though human affairs were not ruled by caprice, temerity, opportunity, and chance. Cartesian objectivity is removed from time and place. Vico saw this as meaningless outside mathematics. I would say also inside. He's right. He's right.
Right.
Right. In placing humanity within history and nature, Vico's thinking is similar to that of Eastern philosophers. He was almost forgotten after the acceleration of technology within Europe, which led to the Industrial Revolution and the conquest by European firepower of much of Asia and Africa. Hence the triumph of the straight arrow notion of progress. Whereby everything is or should be getting better all the time, where the world teems with problems to be fixed, and happiness is more money. Thinking people now know that progress as usual is mad.
Mad.
Because it is leading to the exhaustion of the natural world and irreversible damage to the biosphere. To the biosphere. The idea that man is the measure of all things is being set aside. This is where Giambattista Vico has much to teach us, as do Eastern philosophers of nature.
Nature.
Nature! The nature! The spiral philosophy of life has many implications. Placing humans within nature, it implies reverence for the living and natural world. It perceives evolution as cyclical, and so implies respect for the nature of people and cultures that are different from us, only in that they are not as technologically sophisticated. Because the spiral form we can shrink. Because the spiral form can shrink as well as expand, it warns us that one future for the human race, though not for ants, is catastrophe. Catastrophe. Human affairs remain ruled by caprice, temerity, opportunity, and chance. Chance. Extremely intelligent and powerful people can be very stupid, are often destructive, and are sometimes malignant. Malignant. 666. The devil, Calais. Oh dear. An optimistic version of Vico's thinking is that nature and the life within it develops in a way expressed as an expanding spiral form, as shown above. As time goes on, structures become more complex but successive eons and epochs resemble those of the past, albeit in a more evolved form. An evolved form. A pessimistic version, which retains the spiral concept, is that successive periods may resemble those of the past. But in a diminished form, which is to say, as a reverse spiral, a vortex. Both views place all being within nature. So as to encourage people in any or all situations to gain facts and insight, information, and wisdom as part of a whole way of thinking, being, and living. Understanding of anything and everything, including nutrition, begins by understanding this. And this is a pretty meager end, but there we put a point. On this page 13.
13.
13, indeed, 13.
13. 13.
So I would use this whiteboard instead. You can see me drawing directly here. And I started the recording again. So you can compare the old thinking of the straight line like this, not that straight here. The perpendicular system, where all lines are orthogonal to each other. This is the Cartesian system that Vico Giambattista criticized of Descartes. Very interesting author. I think it's the first time I hear his name. X, Y, Z. Z. And all over that you have a timeline, T. And all happenings are either at T1 or T2. This is hard, but try to see the whole world as a spiral. And this spiral takes in both what is metaphorical, mental, or metonymic. I think especially metonymic is very good. In quantum mechanics, all studies, all examinations are metonymic or metaphorical. They don't make any difference between something that should be material, like something you can hit like this. Space itself is a spiraling thing. It always was, but they somehow changed during the Middle Ages, and it was especially clarified by René Descartes. Became this perpendicular system of orthogonal right angles. It doesn't resemble nature at all. Neither does it resemble thinking or the abstract. This is the mentioning of Tony Blair. He thinks straight, or he's a straight guy. So you see how the Newtonian thinking has entered into all levels. And the idea that the material has a sort of priority, it's hierarchically better. So everything mental is constructed of this. This is actually spiral. It's neither material nor completely mental. Let's call it metonymical. We can go back to the text. However that is done. Close whiteboard, was that simple? Oh, that was easy. Well, thank you. We can go to page 9. So apparently Geoffrey Cannon got an idea from a friend of his. Go down to the third paragraph. Yeah, that one. Icon to the bill text. So go up a bit, please. There. So the third line, fourth line, this prompted me, yet another. This prompted me to perceive that there are no straight lines in nature. No, there isn't. Slowly, I began to see that the ideology of progress can be expressed as every day in every way things. We mentioned this before, many episodes ago. William Blake, Eternity in a Moment, and the whole world in a sandcorn, in a piece of grain. This is how spiral is scale independent. It doesn't observe big or large in the sense of the Cartesian coordinates. That's the point I want to make here. We are so stuck that something is really small and it doesn't have any effect, and it's down the scale. But take a gander at chaos theory, the butterfly effect. That is a spiral in itself. Why? Well, it is because that is the strange attractor that builds the whole production, the doing. If you go to page 11, please. Fourth line. It's a composition of drawings and paintings and depictions and photo, I think is even. These all speak to us about nature, and also with a fractal complex system. There is a connection here as the fourth line and let's call it the first paragraph. Yeah, exactly. Complex system. Complex system is a combination of real and non-real numbers. Anti-numbers as well, negative numbers. The square root of -1, for instance. These are all together. They are part of reality. Reality is not made in the idea of the Pythagorean whole numbers. It's everything in between, fractal units, and that become very quickly incredibly complex. It's a complexity that is almost beyond belief. It's constantly there and it's changing. The room itself is a spiral. And there's a mentioning in the second paragraph of the Dancing Wu-Li Masters by Gary Zukov. I met him in 1997 when I first got interested in quantum mechanics. I think I got interested in the spring and he was here in the summer, if I don't misknow myself. He writes in the book, The Dancing Wu-Li Masters, that when we gain access to spirals and the dance, the movement in the world, we understand how it works. Nothing is static. There are no, so to speak, static Saussurian objects, not in thinking, not in speech, nor out in the world. The world is simply not atomistic. I don't know what's happening to the light here. Let's see if this helps a bit. Sorry. Could that do the trick? And if you go to the last page, we read how nature, life, and we evolve, 13. Very interesting with this Giambattista Vico. Could be that Damasio mentioned him in his book, because he's attacking dualism there. Think so. But he's absolutely right. And it's not only outside mathematics, it's inside mathematics as well. And to introduce, and he's absolute, to introduce geometry into real life is like trying to go mad with the roots of reason. And this is what we have done. And I think this is the reason why it becomes so serious. We're doing something that doesn't fit nature. And of course, where do this ruler, this measure, these straight lines reside? But nowhere to be found, neither in imagination nor out there. Where are the straight lines in the fractal world, where we are also fractal in our thinking? Well, they are once more in the beetle box, the famous beetle box. There you can find them. And the objectivity that we think is objectivity is nowhere to be found. That is not even objectivity. It's a twisting of everything to one's own desire, or misknown urges, as Fisher calls them. We need to understand this to live better lives, to go into the knowledge. Kalle, please enter.
Thank you, thank you. We had the word straight used in a positive sense by Blair.
Crook.
Yes,
Crooked.
we have also crook or crooked. Like in, let me see. I think is if you use crooked about a person is negative. Let me see.
Dishonest,
Crooked
yeah.
politicians.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's typical in our language thinking that crooked is something bad.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So it's a
Good point, yeah.
heritage from both Newton and Descartes. We have to. I should be able to say about myself I'm crooked, and people should understand the positive sense, but it's impossible as it stands now.
You can start with saying that you're spiral, Kalle, because you are.
Thank you, thank you. Let's go to the beautiful images here. We could, for instance, take a look at the goat horns, but more specifically, we could check out the ears. Did we have some ears here? No, it was on the next page. Where did we have some years of this artist? This is here. This Pablo Neruda. These years in form of shells. But even if we look at our own years, they are actually a spiral.
Yes,
they look like a spiral. And this gave me a great idea, in my opinion. Yesterday, when we concluded David McNeil's paper,
he
made the following observation. We compared gestures to waves, that is the wave in the superposition. While speech is like the particle.
Atomistic, morphemic, analytic, linear.
And here we can prolong the comparison. And I would say that ears are like waves, like the spiral waves, because in waves you have this spiral wavy like feature, while the eyes, they're like dots, that is like particles.
Why not?
So because I try to find so many metaphors to make people understand what the superposition is in the everyday lives. In everyday lives, we could say that the years are like they correspond to the superposition before the observation. Actually, it's literally before the observation. You listen to something like, say, you listen to the word whole. You cannot distinguish between whole with a W and whole without the W.
No.
But when you see the word or see the context with your eyes, then the superposition collapses.
Why not? Sure.
The eyes are like the particle, but the eyes are both the particle, but they also make the superposition collapse. So the eyes have two double function. And eyes are also they're also problematic because they don't have this natural spiral ear like form like the ears have.
No. At least not on the outside. Sure.
So therefore I found this Pablo Neruda great. And also this goat-like horns. It's not ears, but still it's the same idea roughly. And yes, finally we could say that we should highlight Vico more and give him his rightful position in history and dethrone Descartes.
Wow, yeah, definitely.
He was more in the Rococo era, almost. He died in 1744. And during the Rococo, the spirals were fashion, actually. So you could say that he's the philosopher of the Rococo age, rightly so. He criticized rationalism and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So he was from which town? He was from Naples.
Kingdom of Naples, indeed.
Let me see.
It's very interesting. It'd be very interesting to see if there's somebody's written modern about him.
Yes. There are a lot of studies about him. So. But I was proposed that we end perhaps with this image of Vico.
Yeah, good idea. Good old Giambattista Vico. We learn something new every time. Isn't that fantastic? Thank you very much, Kalle Lundahl, for your comments. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, listening in for a while. Have an excellent morning, day, or afternoon, wherever you are. Bye-bye for now.